You are listening to The Fatboy Show on RX Radio. I hope you are doing great. Well, I can pose the question to the nation at large also. Uganda, are you doing great? I would think that right now we're not doing so great. Of course, we are still mourning the unfortunate murder of the two tourists and the driver. They were murdered at Queen Elizabeth National Park a couple of days ago, and the assailants are on the run. The army says they're trying to hunt them down. Now, of course, this is a terrible, terrible development for our tourism sector. We rely as a country tremendously on tourism revenue. And so for tourists who are visiting Uganda to be killed, that means that it'll send shockwaves across the world. Embassies and foreign missions are busy sending out travel advisories warning their citizens about traveling to Uganda for holiday because of the risk of being murdered by weird people in our national park. So it's a very, very sad day for Uganda and also, of course, for the victims. So the economy is going to take a huge hit. So expect hard times ahead if they weren't hard already. And part of why they were hard already is because the World Bank announced that they're going to be withholding their aid or loans to us in light of the anti-homosexuality bill that we passed. Apparently, according to the World Bank, for reasons I can't explain, they say that the bill is somehow against their mission and the vision and the values, which I don't know what being gay has anything to do with World Bank. But anyway, that's what they said. So they said in future we will reconsider all of the loans or grants that Uganda might apply for, and we might actually turn them down. So that sent shockwaves here with everyone worried about how we're going to find the funds to fund our different government programs, projects, pay civil servants, and that kind of thing. Adding to that now, potentially our tourism revenue just crumbling, the future looks quite bleak for this nation. Oh my gosh, I don't even want to think about it. But the World Bank has come out, and perhaps this is a ray of light. The World Bank has come out to list a number of conditions that they say need to be met by the government of Uganda before they resume new funding to us. The new measures, according to the World Bank, are aimed at protecting members of the LGBTQ community, particularly those working in the bank's funded projects in the country. The World Bank, as you know, suspended funding to Uganda following the enactment of the Anti-Homosexuality Law earlier this year. Among the conditions for unfreezing the funds, according to the World Bank, they say they want guarantees that gay and transgender Ugandans are not discriminated against in its programs. I think that's
the first condition.
That's the first condition, and I think that's going to be an easy one to meet. Mr. Prince.
It's going to be an easy one to meet.
Yeah. What do you think about that, Prince? Do you think that because even as we speak, I don't think we are discriminating against gays or LGBTQ people in any professional capacity. Like I'm not aware of people not being hired from jobs or losing jobs on account of them being gay or lesbian or whatever else. Are you aware of any such thing?
I'm not aware of anything like that.
Yeah, and I think these guys paint a very exaggerated picture.
They painted an exaggerated picture, and they keep painting it all over anyone who comes, against or has his different opinions via the LGBT community.
Right. So, people may have like internal misgivings about the lifestyle and those who lead it, and perhaps would prefer that they don't lead that lifestyle. But I don't think anyone is out there saying, well, if you lead that lifestyle, you can't get a job. I'm not seeing that kind of conversation happening.
And it also takes me back to what you just said. I don't actually see what World Bank has to do with the LGBT or even the anti-homosexuality bill that Uganda
exactly
passed.
It
I
has
really don't
nothing
see where
to
they have to come in there,
right?
Other than just talking about financial matters and financial issues.
That's all it's supposed to be.
But it's a very hard one to take in based on everything that we are facing as a country, as an economy, and then the World Bank is trying to put this on the country again.
Right? It's unfair.
It's very unfair, and it's so uncalled for. It's so uncalled for. But that just shows you how. First of all, I don't want to come out on this kind of note, but it shows you who is in charge of the World Bank, who runs the World Bank, and all that kind of stuff.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, they talk about being marginalized, but how marginalized can you possibly be if you call the shots to this extent?
To that.
If your issues can cause a global institution like the World Bank to take heed, pay attention, and threaten countries, then how are you marginalized? You're the ones in charge. We are the marginalized ones because we have no say. And I say this as someone who doesn't even really care about the, that lifestyle or sexual orientation stuff. But I feel like if a country has feelings about the issue, you can't sort of force them to change their minds about it. You can dialogue with people, you can engage with people, you can have debates and discussions. Come down here and tell us why you think people need to change their minds. Fine, let's keep it open. But to then say, because of the opinions you hold, we're going to punish you. Seems to me to be not only unfair but counterproductive.
True. Counterproductive, unfair, and it really shows you how it shows you how shallow these guys really are. Also when it comes to their decision making and
very shallow.
Their public relations out there.
Very, very shallow. Well, according to the world,
I hope we pull through.
We
as a
better,
nation,
man.
Though it's still also hard to take in when we still see. The last time I heard there was a trending story of 71 government officials traveling for the UN General.
Oh
Assembly.
yeah, but there was that, and that got a lot of people pissed off. Even the president was like, "Yo, who authorized it?"
And we're facing such times with the World Bank. Our money should really be well spent.
Yeah, it needs to be well spent, and it needs to count for something. Well, according to the World Bank's head for Eastern and Southern Africa, Victoria Chakwa, she says that the World Bank project documents will make it clear that LGBTQ Ugandans should not face discrimination and that staff will not be arrested for including them. Although she declined to give a timeline for assessing the measure's efficacy and moving to a decision on whether or not to resume new funding to Uganda, the World Bank official and a senior official from the Uganda's Ministry of Finance told reporters that funding was expected to resume as early as next year following these fruitful talks between the two sides. So, for all we know, this is just posturing on the part of the World Bank. And if funding resumes as early as next year, then it means that it's going to be business as usual. This is all just virtue signaling by the World Bank.
Yeah, true. It's virtue signaling, and I think they also just wanted to put their voice out there and really show how
woke they are, some people would say.
The woke culture is also in the World Bank already.
I'm telling you, it's a big problem.
But they wanted to cement their whole the whole purpose as into why the movement of the LGBT community has to be ongoing and strong, and no one can come against the LGBT community. I mean, I guess that's what they were literally trying to put out there. They're trying to show you how the community really has a say and an influence and a backing that is really huge out there.
It just feeds into the narrative that they keep denying, that they have an agenda, because how can this not be seen as an agenda? If you can, marshal the power of the World Bank and other global institutions and Western governments to come to your aid and force countries to abide by, the positions you advocate for. I mean, how is that not an agenda? But anyway, as long as the funding is resuming early next year, then maybe for now we can just relax and hope that things will be better next year.
We should have a good time as usual. And the LGBT community in Uganda, they shouldn't be worried about anything.
The concern is...
Have you heard of anyone out in Uganda come out and maybe put out any claims of torture or being victimized and anything?
I feel like the problem is it's mostly the activists who are talking about these issues. But you're not really seeing individuals coming out. It's rare. Have there been people arrested and charged for related offenses? Yes. But when you scrutinize those incidents, almost always, and in fact, I think almost entirely, you find that those who are arrested and charged are usually people who would have forcefully committed the act, like assaulted someone, raped someone. There was one case of one who had sex with a minor, and another one had sex with a disabled elderly man.
It usually comes from an assault perspective.
Perspective. It's very rare, and I'm yet to hear of a consenting couple or like a gay or lesbian involved in a consenting act to be arrested and charged. I am yet to see something like that go down in this country. But of course, what the activists will do is this.
They'll paint a picture.
They'll try and paint a picture. And I debate them all the time on Twitter or X. I keep getting confused about it.
Someone was like, I can't believe people are now calling it X.
Okay, but you know the platform we're referring to. So you go there and these activists will look for incidents where, say someone is arrested for something even unrelated to sexuality, but then the person, let's say, happens to be gay. So let's say they arrest a gay person or someone who it emerges they were gay, but then maybe they were involved in a theft or some financial fraud. Or maybe an assault. He or she got into a bar fight with someone. Or he or she threatened someone's life. Like just committed any other random crime that anyone else would. But if it so happens that they are gay, the activists will say, well, you see, gays are being arrested. But you're like, wait, no. He was not arrested for being gay. He was arrested because he beat up someone at the market. Or he was arrested because, he was assaulting the neighbor. Or things like that. But you see, the activist isn't going to be honest enough to concede that, look, LGBT people are people. Just like the straight people.
Yeah, true.
So they are equally prone to committing crimes like the next person. But so if they do commit a crime and are apprehended, don't say that all gays are being targeted. Because if you're a thief and you're gay, you're still a thief and you'll be charged. If you're a violent criminal and you are gay,
they're not above the law.
You're not above the law. Are we supposed to not arrest criminals just because they happen to be gay for crimes that are unrelated to their sexuality?
Very, very cruel activism, I would say.
BC, because activists have to do that because that's their bread and butter. They have to keep pushing it. They have to keep pushing the victim narrative.
Views and how they put out.
Yes, they make more money when they're able to paint their situation as more critical, more dangerous. But if they're out there saying, look, life in Uganda is cool, no one's bothering us, then of course their funding will dry up.
They wouldn't get anything coming into their bank accounts.
So yeah, and this is true not just of LGBT activism, but all kinds of activism.
Every kind of activism.
Even environmental activism, women's activism.
It's as though the bad is what sells for them. It's what gets them them going and their funding going.
So we have to be really careful about this, and I would urge really the LGBT activists to be more honest about it, because I do think, despite what they believe, there is a lot of goodwill. The same people are chill about this stuff. No one really personally cares about what you do or who you do.
As long as whom you're with,
as long as you're not bothering kids, no one really cares. And
that's the only part, actually.
That's the main part.
That would really be so much of a topic and so much of engagement and of worry to people outside there. If their agenda is to try and promote this thing and put the knowledge into kids, and
that's the thing that really, if you were to ask even the most anti-gay person in Uganda, that's all they're going to talk about.
That's all they're going to talk about. True.
They'll say, do what you got to do. Yes, you'll be condemned to hell, but if you can convince him that kids are off limits and that as a community you're absolutely against any form of child sexual abuse or any targeting of children or grooming of children, I think if they were more emphatic in making that clear, they would be receiving a much better response from the public. But because they don't and they like to dance around the issue, they essentially allow that narrative to just be amplified to where people just assume, oh, you have an agenda, you want to indoctrinate children, you want to rape people, which is unfortunate.
Very, very unfortunate. And you can see how all this is transitioning in Western parts of the world.
Yeah.
In particular in the USA, you can see the movement. The movement is so much supported there, but you can see how if it trickles down to the whole system in the nation.
Yeah.
And how it could really be of big effect to the nation. And most people are saying that if you could see what is really killing families, or what would kill families
Is what?
in one of the factors amongst it. They say the preaching and the promotion of this community.
You think it's what's destroying families?
No, it will destroy family. It is there to destroy.
Or that
something that is called family.
That is their stated goal.
Like the way you hear the word family, what builds a family? How does a family come about? Yeah. So the LGBT community is there. That's what they say.
Which is why
that it's there to kill the concept of family.
now the thing is,
Or it's okay. Basically, let me cut it all short, or not even put it into the context of a family. It's there to kill marriages, or husband and wife and kids and blah blah blah, all that kind of stuff.
well, some would argue that there are other things probably more responsible for destroying marriage than LGBT
yeah, there are
people.
more. There are more. But
Because if your wife cheats on you, that had nothing to do with the LGBT.
It had nothing to do with.
If the husband cheats on the wife, that ain't the LGBT's fault.
Think about it, Fatboy. Think about it. If let me say close to 50% of your population, you're having lesbians and gays.
What you think?
What's the way forward of reproduction and all that kind of stuff?
Well, population control.
But it's
Isn't
the way
that good
forward
for the
also
environment?
for population control. Like way back,
Look.
in the times of COVID, you're saying that the numbers are growing so high. So the LGBT community would also be a way to.
Well, I mean, there's all these stereotypes and perceptions and speculation that people have about the agenda driving the LGBT community, and I think it behooves them to be more open, or at least be more willing to be open and engaging in good faith conversations and engaging the public, because for as long as those issues are not addressed, those negative stereotypes are just going to keep being reinforced. And then there's going to be more hostility, which I think is unfortunate and unnecessary. When I do try to talk to the activists and advise them of how to engage with the wider community, they normally just call me a bigot and a hater, and so I said, okay, you know what, you do you.
I'm done with you. I won't say anything to you again.
I'll leave you to it. Do what you gotta do, and don't make it our problem.
Anyways, let the community keep doing what it's doing, and let the World Bank also not keep on bringing those threats onto our economy.
Yeah, but seeing as it looks like the money is gonna be flowing at the start of the year, maybe this is all just for show, and we got nothing to worry about.
And the government can keep getting what it wants to.
That's right, and wasting that. And here's the irony: is that the money will come and it'll be wasted anyway.
It will be wasted after that debate and all that.
Maybe indeed they should withhold it. After all, what good is it doing for us, right?
Anyways, someone on that argument was like, "There's nothing; it's adding up to the country."
It's crazy. But do keep listening to the Fatboy Show. I am Fatboy, hanging out here with Mr. Inner Prince.
Yes, sir. Right
Stay
here
tuned.
on RX Radio.
Absolutely.
RX Radio.